Hi, it's the Scarecrow. Just kidding. Are we all fucked? Are we all completely fucked? That's a question I've asked myself quite a lot lately, because the feeling I get, oh, my veggie patch in winter time, look how sad it looks. Anyway, the feeling I get is that we're all kind of just being put on hold. As if you're, there you go, that's a good probably analogy. It's like you're on one of those waiting lines. You know, you're getting put through to something like British Gas or just some shitty company that's not going to help you anyway. All going to do is, you might eventually be able to speak to a human, but you're going to get messed around by being in a queue. You are in the queue. The person you know knows you on the call, knows you're waiting, whatever it might be. But basically, you're being fobbed off. You've been left on a waiting line, and all they plan to do is basically move you around an automated dialing system to the point where eventually you'll either have the perception you might be put through to a human being, or just cut off after having half an hour to an hour of your time wasted. And then you're just going to end up fuming and blowing up at the phone, smashing your phone, whatever it is, right? If you're me. So this is what it feels like, but in a kind of global scale, in a political way. Like we're just kind of being channeled in while the governments of the world plan, orchestrate the next move. The planning's already been done, but government being government, they're so fucking useless. They formed a committee to talk about a committee to form another committee, and nothing happened quickly. It all went very slowly. The plans they all made went over budget and were under-resourced. So the whatever it is they're planning, whether it's a global corporate coup d'etat or a global corporate wiping out of the people, literally a purge of the population. Whether that be some kind of slow purge where people get taken to economic desperation and sell their souls and sell their lives out, betray each other, betray your family and friends, fabulous prizes to be won. You know, this fascist and communist and crony capitalist dystopia that we have going on right now. You can imagine these sort of things happening, right? Adverts out for it, you know, about betraying people you know and love. We've already got this happening now in different wordings. So I thought maybe we're just on ice at the moment. Maybe we're just in a kind of conveyor belt situation, right? Like when they hire one customer service person to help 1,000 people, 1,000 callers a minute, you know, like they know that they'll never get through those people, but you know, we have customer service. It keeps you waiting. That's why I took the phone analogy before, because they have systems where they clearly can't cope with the number of calls. Like, let's say the IRS or IRD system in almost every country. They cannot cope with the calls. You might get there, let's say you move to a country, you want to get a tax number, you have to pull a ticket out, wait there all day, and then discover at 5 p.m. they can't even see you, come back tomorrow and discover that you're actually meant to wait in a queue at 7:30 a.m. until the gates open at 9 so that you can actually get served that day, or else you've got no show. But they won't tell you that because they just want to waste your time, right? Well, that's kind of the time waste that I think we've got going on right now. And as far as the purge concerned, it could be something as inconspiratorial but still conspiratorial as destroying the economy of the common man, his small to medium enterprise, that kind of thing, just so that everyone gets desperate. People start selling off their businesses, their kids, their furniture, whatever else, just to make ends meet. So the moral fabric starts to decay rapidly, and then you end up in a world where it really is a proper Orwellian dystopia, living in the normal world. If you're not in the kind of Elysium style, or the movie In Time with what's his face, Justin Timberlake. Yeah. Where you have these different zones, or like Hunger Games. So many movies show it. It makes you think that truth droppers, or long-time truth droppers like Woody Harrelson, were really trying to tell us something with a lot of these films, you know. And obviously the Wozniak, what's it called? Red Pill Pirates, Red Pill Matrix, right? Matrix movies. So that's probably what we are. We're probably just on a holding pattern. and probably in a holding pattern, basically, just to keep us not occupied, but as good as being occupied with these, with a lot of the people in society being just totally sucked in by the fear propaganda, being told to do things that are clearly in what's the word, when you say one thing and it counteracts another, contradiction of each other, right? So everything from being told to wear a mask by a person who doesn't wear a mask, or being told to not go out to restaurants, or a hairdresser by someone who goes out to restaurants and hairdressers, and those kind of things. Just the typical, elitist fuckery that is run for us all the time. And if you point it out, even though there's evidence that it's a fact that happened, the person's even apologized for it, you call these things out, and the people who are programmed to say conspiracy theory over and over and over again, those people will say you're a conspiracy theorist for pointing out something that the person themselves has admitted. For example, the time that Joe Biden admitted that he had basically blackmailed the Ukrainian government to fire a prosecutor, right? Or else they wouldn't get $1 billion that wasn't even his to give, it was from the US taxpayer, right? Joe Biden boasted about that. So he said it. You can give a clip of him saying it, which is from public television. And yet, if you share that, you're a conspiracy theorist, right? So I think between the programming of extreme automaton kind of brain people and the lockdown situations that you may not even if you don't believe, you still have to comply with, because you know that there is government control. Even in my small village here, someone got done €400 fine for not wearing a mask. And this country doesn't really give a fuck about this kind of thing compared to other countries, right? It's very free here compared to other places, but that's still going on. As much as I like the fact that borders closed between England and Scotland now for the first time to assert the fact that we're a separate country, the fact that it's closed isn't very good for, you can't leave your own country. Same as New Zealand a while ago, and actually still now. You pretty much can't leave New Zealand. I can get back there, but I can't leave again because there's no flights out. So a lot of these things are strange. You obviously can't get out of the UK, but you can get in from China. You can get in from Italy and a bunch of other countries that have got higher COVID rates. Basically, what I'm saying is everything that's going on, there's not looking into conspiracy theories, just looking at the simple facts around you. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance in the people. And there's a lot of contradictions from government and the corporations that own them, and their narratives that they give the government and the corporate media to feed the people, right? There's a lot of contradictions between all those things. That can't be by mistake. They're all owned by the same people. It can be because of buffoonery, just being total morons, because we know that people who tend to work in government, years ago when I worked in government, people would say to me, why don't you just keep your head down and your ass up, man? Just because I get into situations where I want to be a whistleblower twice because of corruption, and I can't stand when I see things running inefficiently and see people losing their jobs because one corrupt bitch. I'll probably want to blow the whistle, right? And then I discovered what it's like to be a whistleblower. Basically, they drop you on your arse and leave you out in the cold. Companies like Deloitte and PricewaterhouseCoopers, these kind of litigation companies and not litigation, sorry, financial liquidation companies, and they handle litigation and stuff like that as well, for things like fraud. So they'll just leave you out in the cold. You basically just get abandoned by the system. Then the system comes back and attacks you. You've got no leg to stand on because you're fighting the case with your own money. They all get you to try waive your anonymity. That's the first thing they all do. And so I learned my lesson first time. Second time, they've still got so many tactics. They basically just drop you. Oh, if you can't waive your anonymity, we can't move this forward. Hang on, that's weird. And people go on losing their jobs. People go on getting ripped off the government. These people will basically, when they give me advice, these kind of horrible people who later on I blew whistle on, when they give you their advice is basically, look, just learn to do nothing, and you can do really well here, because I used to get paid good money as a contractor over in the UK and in New Zealand, and they just basically, that's their advice for you. Do nothing, and that you can. They want to teach you how to argue round in circles to get nothing accomplished, right? So that same kind of art of making yourself look busy but doing zero is what they're all about. And if you look at right now, that all these contradictions, well, that's effectively politics, isn't it? It's fighting in circles where you can never really get anywhere. In the meantime, everyone else is trapped, and we're all just trapped in this kind of global lockdown situation. Oh, I'm only at tier 2. I'm at tier 4. Oh, sad for you. It's sad for all of us. It's fucking disgusting that any of it's happening with something that's got a 99.999 or 997 or something. I think it's 997 percent. I could be wrong there, but I know it's 99.9 something percent recovery rate. It's a bit. Now I know that's still quite a lot of people if you take 8 billion people. But another factor I can see is that part of this trapping of us by these diseases. If you look at some the population aspect, how the population has fucking exploded, and from 1 billion in the space of 100 and something years, 1 billion to 8 billion in the space of 100 years. That you can see now that's not by accident. You can see now that's to feed into not only just it's the multi-pronged approach. We've got to make benefits in multiple areas. We've got to be able to rip people off, have an endless supply of children to fuck, and because that's what the elites are all about, and also be able to mock mankind, give them less freedom. It ticks all the boxes. You know what I mean? So depleting culture so that you get less moral fiber in a culture, that's in a country. Sorry, that's something the elite do as well. They don't do it in some of these third world cultures because the morals that they care about. There's morals they care about and morals they don't care about. Caring that children are around sexualized images or are in a situation where they can be sexualized and preyed upon. That's not. That's the things they care about. They care about those morals. They want to get rid of those morals, and that is why they attack and overpopulate mostly white countries, but westernized countries for the most part, because we have cultures that keep generally don't keep those kids safe, but generally, if things are in the open, keep those kids safe. I mean, it's very open secret, like it is in elitist England, with your Eton High School and stuff like that, your Eton College, and you're also in Afghanistan with these guys raping little boys and stuff like that. It's common knowledge in these different cultures. So that subculture in England, it's not a major culture in England, but a subculture in England, and quite a common culture across the Islamic world is raping little boys, right? And also in India, raping women, and that's across. Not just in the Islamic areas, that's across a lot of lower decile areas in India. So I mean, when they talk about rape culture, there's your rape culture, right? But where they want to point it out is they want to point out places where it isn't really rape culture. It's just something that happens every now and then. It's an anomaly in the comparison to the normal goings on. So this seeming confusion that seems like there is in the world, it has to be intentional, in the same way that it's intentional when these government workers do absolutely nothing. I mean, I once went off at a guy, Latif once, Nigerian guy in the UK, for being completely tits on a bull useless. He had all the certifications, apparently. I hadn't checked them out, but he didn't work directly for me. And I called him out one day and just said, look, in 3.5 years, you haven't delivered one project. Don't you feel ashamed? My part-time, my secondary role here, I was an infrastructure manager. My secondary role was as a senior project manager. And I delivered over 100 projects, and some of those very large projects. I'd only been there for about a year at the time. This guy had done fucking nothing, zero. And the only reason he could do zero was, one, internal politics, two, because he had a black face. And that's the God's honest truth when it comes to these what's it called? The identity politics, and also the what do you call it? Affirmative action and stuff like that. This is what you get. You get people who have a free ticket to do nothing, which is a real shame, because a lot of black people and a lot of women are really good at their jobs, and they get made to look bad. They get in situations where people won't hire them because these lazy fuckers who rely on the system and do nothing, right? So that's what Latif was. Anyway, called them out on it, and I ended up losing my job. I don't give a fuck, because I'm not there just to make money. I'm there to increase efficiency. I can't stand an inefficient world, right? But anyway, getting back to the point is these people are systematic in our systems around the world. So I cannot see this as being an accident that the WHO says one thing and the CDC says another thing. If you quote the WHO, you're somehow a conspiracy theorist, even though if you quoted something against them before, you're a conspiracy theorist. You can't fucking win, right? You are caught in a constant quagmire of being damned if you do and damned if you don't, right? I cannot see that as being an accident. And the same way that I think the reason for it is that we're being basically kept on an ice block, just a conveyor belt, right? Just keep him busy on the phone, keep him busy, robot. On you go, bot. Sorry, sir, you are number 400 in the queue. It said it was number 200 before. Oh, fuck, you stay on the line. Don't worry, whatever. And what's waiting for us at the end of the day is, right, okay, guys, Australian government here, and yeah, we got a DNA fucking sequencing thing sorted out to attack these peasants over here based upon their DNA that we've collected from 23andMe, and then we've got the other governments. I don't know, even Iran, for example, they've got all the mass situation going on there, and it's diseases going around rampant. You've got a second strain now in the UK. I really do believe they're just. And on the pyramid, these are just different rungs. Your main countries, China, USA, and England, sit at the top, right below the eye. Remembering that the countries don't mean anything to the people at the top; it just means something to the peasants below. And all the peasants below are just kind of trapped in these little farms. You've got your little area that you're allowed to be penned into. So all this record number of, what my girlfriend was saying before, actually, she says all these record numbers of people you've seen in the last few years becoming rich, becoming the new millionaire class, the new billionaire class. It's expanded. You've got millions more millionaires now than there was before. And it's all for naught, because at the end of the day, you can't even leave your subdivision section. As that's the quote from Jello Biafra, and on a poem he did that was used by a rapper called the DOC. You should look it up, d.o.c, Jello Biafra. Anyway, about a new world order thing that is in a song from 1996, I think it was. But anyway, this is what I think is actually going on. We're just put it this way: if next year comes and halfway through next year we're on, I don't know, wave 4, wave 20 will be interesting. That's all I can say if we get to that stage. And it won't stop. It'll keep on getting worse, and we'll be in a situation where your choice is freedom as long as you're on a tether. So, like, imagine those little dog leads where you got the flexi cord. Bzzz, right, here you go. Right, you're free now. Here's your freedom pass. Bzzz, and you can basically, or you got one of those dog runs that have got like a cable along your fence. The dog's zipping back and forward. Bravo. Zipping back and forward in this line, right? And he's free. He's free. You can run back and forward. Yeah, but you're not really free, are you? You're in your electric car which can be basically turned on and off and driven around by hackers, but yeah, apparently can't be driven around by the car company. Give me a break. So your car's not even free. You can't take you where you want to do, especially when it goes full autonomous mode. So you're really in a situation where you're given the illusion of freedom as long as you actually give away all your rights and skin print and have a tracking system that can probably shut you down eventually. So that, we want to apprehend you, shutting down person. It's not too far-fetched to think we're heading there, because it's not that far stretched from where we are now, right? There's your choices there: comply with the system, or don't comply with the system. Your choice. You can't leave. So all these millionaires that end up with all this money, they can't end up doing anything with it. They can't go anywhere. Even people who've just wanted to retire and have their free life, go around in a bus, like my bus at the back here. I can't even go to Russia anymore, because even that's locked down, So the freedom is gone. The freedom's gone, or it's already gone. But and people go, it's just temporary. It's going to come back. No, it's not. This isn't a temporary measure. This is the main event. It's happening now. This is Act 1, or maybe Act 2. But it's definitely what's going on. Well, it's almost. I always do say don't say anything for sure, but it's almost certainly what's happening right now. And for those who won't even entertain the idea, I think I mentioned the other day at a company meeting, and all the youngies in the company uh, tend to be very sucked in by the media. They think they've got all the. They're like, oh God, hand palm. Us older ones don't know what we're talking about, you know. And of course, we want to do that in some ways. Like, oh God, these guys, they think they know so much, but they know so little. And it's not about sleuthing through endless reports and stuff like that. Uh, or some people who think that something written down has got more credibility than something that's on a video. It's about having an instinct to realize, right, here's all these facts in front of me. Many of them might be bullshit, many of them might not be. But everything together you see is a big data set, and your mind just kind of says, right, with the wisdom of my experience in life, what's setting off my bullshit meter? And these young guys just don't fucking get it. They don't see the big picture. And they're telling guys who really have got their life sorted out. You know, my other two friends are quite wealthy. You know, they're millionaires. You know what I mean? They've sorted their lives out. They're really smart. You know, and they're, of course, they're my age as well. So that it's like they have the mode where they don't want to argue, and they can see what's going on in the world, but they just know there's no point fighting against it. Look, hey, just fucking let's just have a happy life and just go through it, and you know we're gonna be all right because we're doing pretty well. And that's honestly the realization that a lot of people with not millionaires, but people with not multi millionaires, but people with just like maybe a few 100,000 to a few million, whatever, they're starting to realize that there's no point fucking fighting for the average twat, because the average twat is just a willful moron. They really don't want to learn anything. They don't want to pull their fucking heads out their ass to actually see what's going on in the world to their own detriment. And the thing is, well, hey, what's the point for anyone like me to argue with people like that? If I'm constantly going to get attacked on every social media platform I'm on by people who think they know more, they think somehow that they're privy to more information than I am, or that they must be smarter than me. Fair enough, whatever. Even if you are smart, I don't think it's got anything to do with intelligence to have your eyes open. Even if they look at more newspapers, or they research more medical journals, or it doesn't really matter. You can either put the pieces together or you can't. And that's usually evident by people who've learned to hack the system and work life out. If you're still living like a system slave, chances are there's very little you've got to teach someone who has broken free of the system. Maybe in some areas, but the reality is that person who's broken free of the system is more likely to hear you out. And the fact that you're not willing to hear anything out shows why you probably are where you are. So to those people, I just want to say, if you're out there, if you somehow stumble upon this, like some twats seem to stumble upon this channel, because obviously the algorithms have ensured the people who would maybe want to watch this channel generally won't get to see it anymore. It won't get fed to them. And it'll get fed to the people who want to just troll the channel instead. I know this because I get more people joining me on LBRY and other platforms like that, and Odyssey and everything, than I do on YouTube. I lose something like 200 a week, I think it is, on YouTube. I don't care. I don't give a shit. But it just shows that their algorithms are not only suppression algorithms, they're actually algorithms to incite more conflict. These are properly evil companies. You know what I mean? They're serving a major evil agenda. So, what are we kept on ice for? What's the reason that we're on this conveyor belt waiting for our next turn? Well, that turn is just like I mentioned before. Is right. Okay. Now we've managed to get. We had a computer problem, but now we've got that fixed up. Now we can process you now. So yeah, do you want to travel? Well, yeah, of course I want to travel. That's how I lived before. Yeah, so you're gonna have to get this digital ID. Sorry, it's gonna cost you money as well. And yeah, we just know where this all leads to. Yeah, that's gonna tie into your bank account, and it's gonna do this. Oh, is it? Oh, that's really convenient. Everything's convenient until it's not. Until you're trying to escape from the system in the middle of the night in some kind of movie scene that you can imagine, like The Fugitive or something like that, and everything's tied up. You use your credit card. Next thing, woo! Police are swooping in. Yeah, of course that sounds ridiculous when I say it like that, like I've watched too many movies. But if you can't put these things together, you're a fucking Gwendolyn moron. Yeah, it's funny as hell. I mean, honestly, people who cannot put these things together, and because some of the examples you can give are things that are happening in the world, where a guy teaches his dog to miss his dog to do a Heil Hitler sign, and he spends 2 years in jail or gets sentenced to 2 years in jail. Give me a fucking break. I mean, that really is an insane world we're living in, right? These are real life examples that people have all over the place. You get people who have make a living on YouTube, and they don't even tell a lie. They just say something that's against the narrative. They have well published medical professionals who they're quoting, so it's not false information, and they're getting deplatformed for false information. This is where we are. It's not something that's going to happen. We're here already. So yeah, there's no point arguing with these automatons. I know I still do it from time to time. I get sucked into that whole argument thing, but they have no idea they're waiting in a conveyor belt. We probably all are to a degree, but just depends. I like my conveyor belt to maybe have an escape path somewhere down the track. Some of these people have no escape path. Some of these people sitting in these major cities around the world are thinking everything's just going to start coming back to normal soon. They have no idea that what's actually going to most likely happen, I didn't say for sure, but most likely happen, is that violence levels are going to increase, rents are going to increase, their free amount of money is going to decrease, their discretionary income, and they're going to become a system slave on a whole new level than what they were before. And they probably didn't even realize they were a system slave before. So they're just thinking, oh, this is just how life goes, and if you try to tell them that any of this was intentional, you'd still be a conspiracy theorist, even though their life sucks and yours is pretty good. So yeah, this is why I think we are, for the most part, fucked. Nothing we can do about it, except for continue to make plans. Hopefully be one of those people who's already been making plans for a long time, so that you're not, well, basically put it this way. It might be hard to become the 0.000000001% or the 0.001%, but it's not actually that difficult if you live in a developed country to become the 5% or even the 1%. That's just simple economics. Look around you, find that most people are. Look in America, most people can't afford a $400, this was a year ago, couldn't afford a $400 emergency. Or a $500, I think it was a $400 emergency. That's 40%, I think it was, the people. Was it? No, more than half. It was more than half of Americans couldn't afford it. So, I mean, that you could probably say that, I don't know the stats on the next level up, but let's say it would probably be reasonable to expect that it might be around about 80% of people couldn't afford let's say, a $5,000 catastrophe, right? So that puts you into a bracket where if you can save up even more than 10 grand, you probably end up being in the 5%. It's not that hard. So just all I'm saying is, instead of spending your time and your energies and your efforts, if you're a person who hasn't got shit to a pot to piss in a window to throw it out, maybe instead of spending hours and hours online trolling and arguing with people about how they have no idea what they're talking about and you do, maybe start learning from people who aren't in that situation, and try, just learn things, learn a language, learn something, learn how to make money on the fly, and then you wouldn't be. I'm holding this knife in my hand like I'm a psychopath. I just noticed it right now, and bravo, double done. Yeah, so. I just got this knife in my hand. Mayor's walking past me like a weirdo. Yeah. So learn these extra things. Try go, whatever it is. Think to yourself, what businesses could exist online, right? If you're going to get into business right now, it might not be the wisest idea to think about, oh, I need to do like a high street cafe or something like that, or get back into real estate now if I've been out of that for a while, and maybe think of things that, if things stay as they are, what kind of businesses might do well? Maybe Amazon stuff. That arsehole is going to make money no matter what you do, right? eBay and Amazon, that's what it's designed to do, to allow the people who are billionaires to become even richer, to further consolidation of wealth, right? So that's the way that you dig yourself out of this and become one of the 1%, because it's not that hard. I'm pretty sure if you are, given the fact that most of the earth is either most of the planet are either peasants living on $1 a day, or people who, if you take everything and liquidate all their assets and take all their debts, they probably would have less than $1,000, and that would be 90% of the world at least. You know, when you think of things that way, it isn't actually that hard to become the 1%. So, because that is really the only way to start maybe possibly protecting yourself. If any big purge comes, it might be more people than that. You know, who knows? Might bring us down to 200,000 people for all we know. We don't know what's going to happen. Whether they do DNA coded bombs or whatever it might be, or maybe just starve everyone out, just the old fashioned way, or maybe just the other old fashioned way of just making endless manufactured consent for wars, where everyone thinks the other side is the enemy, and they're going to be passionately advocating that we all kill each other in a field, or whatever it might be, just like what happened in my country for, well, the last 1,000 years, pretty much. Well, half of the last 1,000 years at least. So yeah, I would say that's probably your only way out of it. We probably are completely fucked, and keep your chin up. Yay! All right, have a good one.